Saw that coming. Saw that coming. Exterminate.
Bruh.
Hey you. Psst. Yeah, you. Isn't it about time you went from this to this?
Saw that coming.
Well, if that's the case, I've got just the thing for you. Introducing Beast Unleashed. 7 Steps to Ascension. This guide will evolve your measly Carlos
It's Calcharo.
own Calcharo. Though given how potent these secrets are, I can't just let you have them for free, can I? So, what do you say? Alright, let the hunt begin. Being an Electro Broadblade, Calcharo has a variety of weapons to choose from to give him that lethal edge in battle. First, we have Lustrous Razor, a blade well tuned for his particular skill set. It provides energy regen as well as a substantial boost to Resonance Liberation type damage upon the use of Resonance skill up to 3 times. While being an attack weapon, it's nothing to scoff at. Calcharo does need a significant investment in crit rate and crit damage, so unless your Echoes and Team Comp can carry the extra stat weight, you may find Lustrous Razor falling just a bit short of what you need to get the job done. However, should you manage to secure around 65% crit rate and 240% crit damage, not only will it be great for speedruns, but your enemies may find that death may just be on your side. Next, we have Ages of Harvest. This weapon comes with the amazing benefit of being a crit rate main stat weapon, patching up Calcharo's biggest issues as well as providing him with a general 12% damage bonus. You also get great use out of the weapon skill, considering Resonance skill usage is responsible for a sizable amount of Calcharo's damage during a proper rotation. While not completely tailored to him, this weapon serves as the most comfortable middle ground for Calcharo users and is easily accessible to him through Jinchi. If you were to ask, my personal preference would be Lustrous, but in most cases, I'd recommend this as the most acceptable option to most people who inquire. Lastly, we have Verdant Summit. At level 90, it clocks in with a hefty 48.6% crit damage and a general 12% damage bonus. However, as with many choices Calcharo has at his disposal, this blade has a double edge. Through the use of Intro and Resonance Liberation, the user is able to get 24% heavy damage bonus up to 2 times. While this is amazing for Jiyan, upon entering Death Gear, Calcharo no longer benefits from this bonus due to his damage type being Resonance Liberation, ultimately making the effect of the weapon a misfit for a Resonator. Providing you're okay with using a large stat stick, this weapon still provides good value, especially if you already have one available from your Jiyan. It's generally beneficial in Wuthering waves to have a good understanding of the enemy patterns, knowing when to avoid committing to moves that will cause you to get interrupted or worse. Calcharo, for example, has a pretty hefty cast as his Forte that pretty much requires him to avoid being hit while completing the cast. Additionally, his very tight window to build killing intent stacks during his Resonance Liberation also puts him in a spot where you end up having to dodge to avoid getting hit. This may sometimes cost you one of your death messengers. Though this may cost you some time, it's actually not the end of the world. Calcharo's dodge counter in Liberation comes with a pretty unique property. If you have both dodge charges available, you're able to use one to activate a dodge counter and the other to immediately cancel it wherever it is in its animation. This allows you to be able to perform at least one dodge during Liberation and still manage to secure all 3 death messengers. Another remedy for this situation is simply to just swap off of Calcharo during his Forte cast. Doing this leaves his character in a state of invulnerability and is also generally good practice because this was time you'd normally not be able to do anything while his animation played out anyway.
A new era.
So what about killing intent stacks? Is there any tricks to securing those? Well, actually there is. There are moments when Calcharo actually doesn't mind being hit, and taking that damage can actually cause him to still secure his DMs. Let me explain. Enemies' attacks typically have 2 resulting hit effects, staggering and knockdowns, but this is actually only at the end of whatever attack sequences they use. Let's say the enemy has a 2 or 3 stage attack like Heron. Depending on the sequence of attacks, the first and the second may actually have no control effects at all. This is when trading comes to play. If well timed, attacks performed during these windows can be a benefit in helping you to still achieve a full round of death messengers.
I'll handle your commission. alone.
Despite being a standard character, Calcharo actually juggles some pretty complicated ideas. How do I optimally build killing intent stacks? How do I stay aggressive enough to build liberation? When do I use Forte? All of these are questions you'll find yourself asking at one point or another. Fortunately, for the low price of 1 like and 1 sub, we'll answer all these questions and more. Hopefully you're not watching this for free. The ideal scenario to use Forte ironically results in you not using it. If you look at the first inherit skill, Bloodshot Awakening, it states that you get 10% Resonance Liberation bonus for 15 seconds. Because of the duration of the team buffs as well as the lengthy animation of Mercy skill itself, however, it becomes pretty optimal to cancel the cast of the skill using Resonance Liberation to allow for a fully buffed damage rotation. Unique to Calcharo is a secondary intro that allows him to deal even more damage than the standard Wanted Criminal, though this comes at a price. Due to a cinematic intro, Calcharo becomes locked into a heavy cast, but unlike his Forte this time, he's not allowed to swap out. This normally isn't a huge issue, but during Tower of Adversity it might provide some challenges, namely the clock. You see, even though this is cinematic, it actually doesn't pause the in-game clock, which can run you around 3 seconds just for introing with this move. The simple solution is just to swap to someone else who could actually use the resources. Calcharo doesn't have a very difficult time building Resonance Energy or Concerto, so it's a pretty viable strategy to just give the intro to someone else and immediately swap from them to Calcharo, causing him to enter the fight normally. It goes without saying that the vast majority of Calcharo's damage comes through his Resonance Liberation. However, this doesn't mean his Resonance skill Extermination Order is a hindrance to his performance. It's well understood that to have a good upkeep of your Resonance Liberation, you need to have good upkeep of your Resonance skill. Well, Calcharo has a special approach to this method: Resonance Skill Weaving. Calcharo's Resonance skill comes in 3 parts, and each successfully connecting grants him a stack of cruelty. Parts 1 and 2 can be cancelled, causing your character to overwrite any attack animation they were in, but allows Calcharo's Phantom to follow through and pick up said stack of cruelty. This becomes a very invaluable technique when trying to avoid some boss hits but still connect your own. Or weaving in Extermination Orders into his Resonance Liberation to allow him to upkeep his Lustrous Razor buffs, or uptime his Resonance Energy gain as well as maximize his damage output. Mastering the cancel windows for the Resonance skill Extermination Order becomes a huge stepping stone to elevate your gameplay as Calcharo. So you've learned how to optimize weapon choices, study the enemy, optimize Forte and Resonance skill use. Congratulations! This step, however, is where we change gears. See what I did there? Gears, Deathblade gear. Okay, you guys suck. Anyways, introducing dash canceling. We've already had a slight introduction to this concept of canceling through lessons 3 and 5. Now we kick it up a notch. Dash canceling as a concept is simply just using a dash animation to cancel the remaining frames of your previous move. Calcharo in particular has a pretty unique use for this in his basic attack cancels. Take Death Messenger for example. Calcharo requires 5 stacks of killing intent to be able to perform a Death Messenger, but hits 4 and 5 are significantly worse tools for achieving this, despite how cool they may look. Oftentimes, relying on doing the full combo, you not only lose a lot of time, but run the risk of being flinched out of your animation. A great alternative comes in the form of basic attack cancels. Optimally, it's best to cancel hit 3 with either Resonance skill or a dash which resets your basic attack animation back to 1. But alternatively, you can cancel hit 2 repeatedly with a very specific timing that allows Calcharo's Phantom to spawn and generate the second stack for you. This technique is a game changer for how to play Calcharo. Not only can you easily secure 3 Death Messengers, but you also reduce his field time, which allows other units to swap in and contribute their support more efficiently.
Leave it to me.
And finally, we arrive at the pinnacle of it all, Calcharo's hardest technique. Let me introduce you to the 4th Death Messenger. Death Gear State is arguably the most difficult Resonance Liberation to take full advantage of. Not only does it only last 11 seconds, but each Death Messenger duration is about 2 seconds long, giving you about 6 seconds to build and execute all the DMs. Despite the math though, there's actually a way to achieve a 4th DM per Death Gear, and it involves pausing the in-game clock. You see, when a character activates Resonance Liberation, the timer is either slowed or completely paused. You can notice this phenomenon with Yinlin's Resonance Liberation versus Shorekeeper's. With Yinlin's type of liberation, even though the clock is momentarily slowed, animations are still playing out to completion. Shorekeeper's, on the other hand, completely pauses everything around you. So with that in mind, if you were to utilize this effect during Calcharo's Death Messengers, you're effectively gaining time on the clock from the animations playing out faster than its natural timer cost. With this technique in hand, in Lesson 6, we can effect save enough time to achieve a 4th Death Messenger with Death Gear. Sounds awesome, right? Though, it's not as simple to execute as it sounds. It's effectively Calcharo's most deadly secret and effectively elevates his place within the meta of the game. He truly is a force to be reckoned with. And with that, we come to the end of our guide. Calcharo has been a long-time favorite of mine. I practically began the game just to play him, and honestly, I can say till this day he hasn't really disappointed. With all that said, how do you feel, Calcharo?
It's Calcharo.
Yeah? Anyways. My final message to you guys would be practice makes perfect. A lot of these texts aren't easy to execute, but will completely change your playing habits and perspective of the game once you add them to your arsenal, so don't be afraid to spend some time getting them down. I'd like to thank you guys for your time, and I hope you were able to learn something new and valuable. Alright, have a nice day. Peace.